Joining us is the former New York City Mayor, Bill de Blasio. He is also a visiting professor at the University of Michigan's Ford School teaching policy. Mayor de Blasio, thanks for being with us tonight in maybe my favorite city in this country, Ann Arbor, Michigan. Let me ask you, back in your hometown of New York City, there's the castle doctrine, which essentially says if you're in your home, you feel attacked, you can fire, you can shoot. And I know Kamala Harris is getting a lot of grief in some corners for the comment that she made last night, but I wonder if you think she said anything wrong.
No, I mean, Blake, I was sitting about 20 or 30 feet away at that event when she said it. And I immediately thought, well, that's what anybody would feel if someone broke into their house. I found it to be authentic. I agree that she also realized it would create some headlines, but it's, I think a lot of people out there listening are saying, well, that's just common sense. If someone is a danger to you and your family in your house and not supposed to be there, that's something people are going to do to defend themselves.
Right. All right. Let me ask you about New York City and some of what's going on there. Eric Adams, the mayor who followed you, he talked about in the recent, let's just call it year or so, that New York City could spend $12 billion in 3 years to deal with the migrant crisis that's there, the mass amount of immigration that they've seen. He said 100,000 plus asylum seekers have come to New York City. Last year, he said the migrant crisis, quote, will destroy New York City, end quote, his words. Here's what Kamala Harris said about the idea of mass deportation, which, as you know, Donald Trump is vouching for, and I'll get your reaction on the other side.
Donald Trump and his extremist allies will keep trying to pull us backward. They have pledged to carry out the largest deportation, a mass deportation, in American history. Imagine what that would look like and what that would be. How's that going to happen? Massive raids? Massive detention camps?
So given what she said and her position, we know Donald Trump and his position and what Mayor Adams has said he's seen in his hometown. Do you think if there were mass deportations in New York City, it would harm New York City or potentially be a benefit to New York City?
No, I think mass deportations are un-American and dangerous. Look, last night at the event in Oakland County, Michigan, a lot of the conversation was about immigration. And Kamala Harris said very clearly, we need to strengthen the border. We need more Border Patrol officers. We need to improve the asylum process. The situation right now isn't what it should be, period. And I think Democrats should be very open about that fact. Now, thank God, Blake, the number of crossings has gone down precipitously, and we want to keep it that way. The impact on New York City is a lot less than it used to be. But I'll tell you one thing. We also have a nation with, let's call it 12 million undocumented folks, the vast majority of whom are law-abiding and part of our communities. Mass deportation, that's just not part of the American tradition. I think it would be very dangerous.
So what needs to happen in New York City? Because Eric Adams has said it will, quote unquote, destroy the city.
Well, look, I would differ with that characterization, but where the mayor and I 100% agree is the federal government needs to step up some more, and the state government, to provide more help. Look, some of this happened, Blake, because of a very cynical strategy in places like Texas and Florida to send folks specifically to New York to try and punish New York for our historic embrace of immigrants. That goes back 400 years. And it's worked for New York City. We're the greatest place of welcome of immigrants in the history of America, and we're an incredibly successful city at the same time, economically and socially. But look, the bottom line is, do I think New York and other localities deserve more support from the federal government when they're dealing with what is obviously an international issue? Absolutely. I'd like to see it. But part of the problem, Blake, and Kamala Harris talked about this last night, is when there was an actual bipartisan bill to address the border, Donald Trump scuttled it because it wasn't in his political interest. We got to be better than that. There's been a lot of bipartisanship on immigration over the years. We've got to get back to it.
Thank you for watching. And make sure you go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.